All right, Herd, it's another week's episode of Unicorn Chef. I can't believe we've been doing like 70 of these. Another week, another awesome recipe, another way to make your kitchen more accessible to you. Tonight's charity, donate to your local food kitchen. Not everybody has it as good as we do. So please give back to the community. And of course, let's do it by celebrating food because that's what we do. Hashtag Unicorn Chef. We love to see what you make as well. First question, Meryl, what are you drinking?
What am I drinking? I am drinking a Pinot Grigio. And it's in a funny cup. A funny cup.
Donut kill my vibe with Pinot Grigio.
Mm-hmm.
That has like a real like Sunday morning hangover kind of feel to it. It's like the wine's in the mug. It's Sunday morning. I don't really have to get out of bed until like 2 p.m. I'm just going to drink a bottle here with it. I am drinking
Yeah, what are you drinking?
That's not supposed to come out. Stay in there. All right. A San Pio, a 2017 from Italy.
Oh, nice. And what type of wine is that? What type of bread?
San Pio.
Nice.
It is a red wine product of Italy. That is all of the info you get because that's all it tells me.
Is there a reason why you picked that wine? Does it go with the dish that we're making tonight?
Yes.
That's smart. I didn't think about that ahead of time. So
bolognese. So how do we make this bolognese tonight?
All right. So we're going to start by, can everybody see my kitchen over here?
They can't hear. They can't answer.
Okay, that's right. So everybody can see my kitchen over here. So I have prepped pretty much everything. So prepping, for those of you that don't cook too often, just basically means getting everything ready to go. That's going to go into the dish. So what I have right here is some minced garlic. That is 4 cloves of minced garlic. And then I have 1 yellow onion. It's been diced.
Meryl, trick question. Is there such thing as too much garlic?
No, there isn't. Well, there can be because I have had, there have been times when I've cooked something with too much garlic, and the only bad thing about it is the next day, everyone can smell it in the elevator. So that's the only bad thing about it. So I actually added a little bit extra to this recipe because I love garlic.
Good. Make them suffer. Make them know that you're making this.
Make them suffer. And then I have, right here, I have 2 small carrots, finely diced, and 2 small ribs of celery, finely diced. All ready to go. And I also have some fresh basil, which I'm actually growing at home. So this is about a half a cup of fresh basil. And I can also show you some of the plants that I pulled it from. So aside from being a cook, I also like to grow plants. So this basil came fresh from my garden. And I have my ground turkey meat ready to go. This is a pound of ground turkey meat. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And the way that I like to count olive oil, I actually worked in a kitchen when I was a kid going through school. And a chef used to tell me the way that you count tablespoons if you're pouring something is you just give it a 1-2 per tablespoon. And then it's just basically 2 seconds per pour for each tablespoon. So I'm going to put 2 tablespoons in here. So I'm going to do like this, like 1, 2. That's 2 tablespoons. Now, before I start to add anything, I'm going to let my oil get itself nice and hot. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is I want the oil to not be, it shouldn't be spreading itself hardly around the pan. It should be to the point where it just slips itself and slides itself easily over the pan. So that's probably going to take about 30 seconds to 1 minute. And right now I'm using a medium to high heat, which I should probably turn down to like just over a medium heat. I'll wait a few seconds while that happens.
So why'd you pick this recipe?
I picked this recipe because I love bolognese. I picked the recipe because it's my favorite recipe, and I've been making this for years. I was going to go with a full bolognese. I make a really good traditional style bolognese. It has a lot of complexity to it though, and this is healthy, it's lean, and it's simple, and it tastes delicious. And I've made it several times. It's one of my favorite recipes, and I love it. So right now, okay, the olive oil should be moving around there pretty nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and add all my vegetables. So I'm going to add my garlic, my onions, my celery and carrots, and then I'm going to take a wooden spoon and stir this around. So what I'm trying to do right now is saute these vegetables. I just want to saute them so the flavor starts to come out of them. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. I'd say like a teaspoon of each. And so that has to really be constantly stirred for the next 4 or 5 minutes or so. And what I'm looking for here is I want the vegetables to get a little bit brown and a tiny bit wilted. But I want the aromatic of the vegetables to come out later when I am starting to make the sauce, so I don't want to overcook them. And in the meantime, I'm going to do cleanup. So when I'm cooking, I like to clean things up along the way so that I don't have dishes. Clean up afterwards because just keep on moving. I'm just going to keep on. I have this at like it's between a medium, it's just over a medium heat. And I'm just going to keep stirring it. My headset died, so.
Oh, well, technical difficulties is the fun part of this program. If you want to see some prior episodes that were completely ridiculous like that, look at Mike Ellis trying to cook, or Jason Thomas at the Florida retirement home. You get to meet Florida Jim. So when you make your bolognese, is this typically more like an all day thing that you let the sauce, like you start it, let it sit all day?
Depends on the bolognese, not with this one. So the reason why I like this recipe and one of the reasons why I chose it is because it's simple and quick. And it's got a couple of different ingredients in there that allow it to just come together really quickly. If I was going to make a traditional bolognese, then I would let it cook for a couple of hours. This one doesn't need it.
So what's the difference?
What's the difference?
Mm-hmm.
The difference between the two recipes?
Yes.
The traditional recipe has about 3 meats in it. It's got bacon. It's got a couple of different meats. And it doesn't have balsamic in it. It doesn't have, let me see. Oh, the main difference is the bacon. So I usually put bacon in so right now when I'm making this, the celery, carrots, and onion, I would usually have bacon in there. And I would let it cook all day, and I would have several different meats. The prep time is significant on that because you have several different meats. The bacon, it's either bacon or pancetta that you would use. and it's just there's a long preparation time. It's a long cooking cycle.
Yeah, so instead of adding olive oil, the pancetta or the bacon is there to render the fat out, and then you're going to cook your aromatics in that fat, taking the bacon out and then adding it back in with the sauce.
So right about now, I'm going to take my pound of turkey, and I'm going to put it into the pot. And I'm just going to use my spoon. Hold on, you can't see me. Can you see me?
Yes.
I'm going to use my wooden spoon to just grind this up. I like to get the meat ground up to a point so that it's diced up fairly enough to be consistent across the dish. So I'm going to sit here and stand here and beat this around for a little bit until it gets into smaller chunks.
Is the turkey the choice over ground beef or another one because of health?
This is because of health, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the other difference, I guess, between the original bolognese and this one, is that this is healthier. It's a lean recipe, and it tastes really good. It's very lean, and it tastes really good. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, I like to eat healthy foods. I work out a lot, and I'm a big fan of nutrition and health. And to me, it's really important because I think that we can all be better people if we eat better, if we eat well, and if we exercise. So yeah, this is a healthier version of a I don't want to call it like fatty, because bolognese is not really that bad for you, but this is a leaner version of that.
I'm making mine with ground beef to please the teenager.
Oh, you make yours with ground beef?
Mine has ground beef instead of turkey.
Oh, it does?
The teenager doesn't like turkey.
How many? How lean is it?
You know, lean enough. You drain the fat.
Is it like 90%? Hopefully.
You cook the fat out and you drain it.
Okay.
By the way, my sauce has been working all day, so I am all ready.
Your sauce is done?
Yeah, I started mine this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes I'll do that on some of the shows, particularly ones where I know where we're going. There's some recipes where the chef puts it out there, and I'm like, I have no idea what we're making. Is this a soup? Is this a roast? I have no clue. And so those ones, I'm playing catch up. This one, I could see where it was going, and I like to let my sauces sit.
Oh, yeah,
so I jumped ahead on it.
Did you put, besides beef, so what did you do with yours besides the beef? Did you add any bacon or anything like that?
No, I didn't do bacon. I stuck to your main recipe. What did I do differently? I added anchovy paste for more of like an umami base. So like real hardcore Italian. What else did I do? Bay leaves.
So right about now, I'm going to take a cup of white wine. And when I say a cup, I usually just measure it by just by the look and feel. I mean, it was kind of hard for me to come up with exact amounts because when I'm cooking, it's not like baking. I'm just kind of feeling things out. So that's maybe a cup. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil this, because what I want to try and do is I want the flavor of the wine to come into the food, and I want it to evaporate, because I don't want my sauce to be so thin, but I want the flavor of the wine in there. And I'm also going to add a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of pepper to this. And I'm going to put this on a high heat, because I'm going to let this, I want the wine to evaporate off.
So the other thing that I do is I get San Marzano, the tomatoes from Italy, like for like the real. So And they're already peeled, which I appreciate because I hate peeling things.
Yeah, I did this. I went on the cheap side, and I haven't found a difference between these and those.
All right. Wow, we've got a lot of previous chefs showing up. So Adrian, Matt from prior episodes, good to see you all.
Hi.
Actually, I was thinking of you, Matt, because Matt made, and I don't want to screw it up between the jambalaya and the gumbo, because those were both within a month of each other. I want to say, Matt, you did the gumbo. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But I really liked learning about how I could make a roux in advance and keep it going. Yeah, seat of pans cooking is the best style of cooking. I absolutely agree. That's pretty much this show. It's amateur. We throw stuff together, and for the most part, none of you have to eat it, so it works out.
No, I can't see the chat, I don't think.
That's all right. I got the chat.
Okay. That's only for the unicorn chef. Or am I the unicorn chef? I don't know.
You are tonight's unicorn chef. That's how it works. Wait, you can what? I believe Karen W. Yes, you can make a roux in advance. So if you go and look at Matt Toussaint's episode from the other month, he taught us how to make a roux in advance. I had no idea you could do that. It never occurred to me. The other thing that was really neat that I think is fun to add to something like this, and also where Meryl is pulling up the tomatoes.
Take these tomatoes right now and put them. I just take the whole can of them, the 28-ounce can. I didn't go with the kind that Bryson bought because I think we just explained this before, but I was just trying to be more economic, and I haven't seen a difference between the two. The whole thing is just going to go into the pot like this. And I'm going to take the back of my wooden spoon and start to mash them up. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Bryson. I'm just trying to keep things going here.
No problem. So another trick I learned a year ago is the former director of CISA, Chris Krebs, on his episode, which I want to say was July. He showed how he smokes cherry tomatoes. And so any recipe that involves tomatoes, I highly encourage you to try. Check that episode out. Smoke the tomatoes and throw them in, and it's just, again, it's kind of like the anchovy paste. It just is a completely other level.
Smoked cherry tomatoes. That sounds really good. Okay, so I'm just using the back of the wooden spoon now to crush these tomatoes up. Because I don't want, when this is finally cooked, I don't want huge tomatoes to be served in my dish. I want them to be broken up enough so that whoever is eating this meal is going to be able to taste the flavors of the peeled tomatoes.
Yeah, that's one of the other reasons I started this one early, because then the tomatoes get time to break down in the liquid. Mm-hmm. Another cheat you can use is Cento, besides making the San Marzano, also makes a tomato concentrate paste. I promise I get no commissions for any of these things. These are just my own little hacks. And the advantage to this is I hate when you get the canned stuff, because I never use like an entire can of the tomato paste when I'm trying to thicken my sauce. But this, I can use a little bit, and then it lasts for months because it seals. So
what does it do for the flavor?
So it's there to like thicken the tomatoes, right? So right now you're trying to break down those whole tomatoes, and that takes a while to like thicken the sauce. And so this is like tomato concentrate. So you get that thick tomatoey flavor to the sauce, but without it like going bad. Because you know what I mean? When you get like the little cans, I never use the whole can. So the thing always goes bad in my fridge. With this, I always have like the equivalent of the little cans, and it never goes bad.
That makes sense. Yeah. I use tomato paste in my normal bolognese, but not in this one because it's quick. And so now I'm just about to add some balsamic vinegar. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon in here. And my heat right now is still pretty high because I'm trying to evaporate some of the flavors, and I'm trying to reduce the sauce to a simmer so that it thickens up. Because the other thing that I don't like is a really runny sauce. I want all of the flavors and all of the ingredients to reduce themselves down so that it tastes good and so that it's nice and thick. And I'm also going to add in, I have the fresh basil from my garden that I showed you earlier. I'm going to take just a pinch like this and put it in here. And then my other secret is a tiny bit of sugar. What this does is it helps to balance out the balsamic vinegar. And it extracts a lot of the flavor from the tomatoes. And I'm just gonna, as a chef, we should be tasting our food, so which I also like to do along the way. And this isn't a science, this is an art, so it's always a kind of a, oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree with the chat. I like the addition of the balsamic vinegar. That's not something I usually do in my sauce, so that's a neat trick. But highly, seriously, all of you check out the Krebs episode. The smoked tomatoes, whole other depth to like anything you do with tomatoes. It's really cool. And he shows the trick how to like do it, and then you have tomatoes through the week, so you can use it in multiple recipes.
And then, wait, I'm going to stick my bay leaves in. 2 bay leaves. I cheated today. I used dried bay leaves. And what I found is that they work almost as good as the fresh ones. Kind of. But you have to put a couple more in there. But they are really key. Bay leaves are an interesting thing because they don't look like much, they don't smell like much, but they make a huge difference to the flavor. So those are going to go in. I'm going to give this about another 5 minutes to let it steam off, and then I'm going to put the lid on it.
Yeah. Also, just Adrian, since you mentioned the tomato paste tube, I love that hack. The other one is they make the same thing for the anchovy paste, so it's really easy to just add a little bit of squirt into something, and again, you get that like deeper, darker flavor to it with
nice.
Not a lot of effort.
So are we gonna exchange our dinners after this, Bryson?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so you said you were really into fitness. That's part of what drives your healthy eating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what are you into?
I started out as a runner. I'm still doing running, but I'm primarily into cycling right now. So I started out running, doing endurance sports about 6 years ago. Did the Army 10 miler, finished a half marathon, and now I have a Peloton. Since the pandemic hit, I was like, oh God, how can I get some exercise? I need to get exercise. So I have a Peloton, and I'm on my Peloton every morning, and I just hit 750 rides. I got it last March, and then I also ride outdoors. So I also have a road bike that I ride outside, and then I'm trying to get into swimming. I'd like to do a triathlon next, but my swimming needs work.
Peloton is like CrossFit on a bike, right?
Not exactly. No, it's just like it's basically like a it's kind of like having it's hard to explain. It's not CrossFit. It's basically like having any type of cycling experience that you want indoors and readily available. So they do have there's probably 30 different instructors. There are the classes range from any duration from 5 minutes all the way up to 90 minutes, and then the intensity just varies depending on what you want to do. And now they also have yoga, they have meditation, they have strength training classes, they have stretching. So it's not CrossFit. It's definitely an endurance thing. But they also have.
Well, the tease was more about the religion of Peloton.
Huh?
I said the tease was more about the religion of Peloton. People who get into it take it just as seriously as CrossFit. And how you know that somebody does it because they'll tell you. That was the joke. That's what I was going for.
So now I'm going to. So there's also pasta that goes with this because who wants to eat bolognese by itself? I mean, maybe some people might choose to do that, but I like to eat mine with pasta. And so in the recipe, I suggested pappardelle or spaghetti. Well, I'm gluten intolerant, so I'm actually using a chickpea spaghetti here. Wait, can they see it? Oh.
Yes, we can. Yep, banza. All right, so that is chickpea spaghetti.
Chickpea spaghetti.
What does that taste like?
Really, I mean, it's. I haven't tried this brand yet. I found this today in Giant when I saw you, Bryson, and I thought, you know what? Because I was going to use this. This is really good too, but I wanted to use the spaghetti. This is really good. It tastes kind of. It's different than pasta. It's a little bit more gritty. It's got a little bit more flavor to it. I haven't had this one yet, though. This is made from lentils. This one is made from chickpeas. So haven't tried it yet, but I discovered about this time last year that I have an intolerance to gluten. And so it's not that I can't eat it. If I eat it, then I just break out in different stuff. So
how did you discover you have an intolerance to gluten? Because I've gotten the impression, and I'm very clueless about this stuff, that a lot of people have started to discover that. I mean, I don't know what the percentage. It's big, small.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with, it's wheat. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the rapid, like the increase in the manufacturing of wheat. The way that wheat is being manufactured today versus like 150 years ago, because I mean it's direct. Gluten is basically wheat, but it seems like the problem is continuing to get worse, and I think it's to do with the manufacturing, and it's also to do with pollution to our environment, right? So we're not getting the right. We're putting too much stuff into nature to be able to grow and sustain whole grains. And yeah, that's what I see, at least.
Is that something that you looking back as like when you were a kid, you noticed symptoms or something?
No, not at all. No, not at all. It's something that I read about. So I have an autoimmune disease, and I've done some research, and I've watched a few documentaries, and found out, like, from doing my research, that a lot of autoimmune diseases recently have been caused by gluten.
And so, like, what were those symptoms? What did you feel like?
Well, had psoriasis from it. So psoriasis is the main thing. And then also, I used to, at lunchtime, have 2 slices of whole grain toast, just regular toast. And I'm quite a routine person. So every lunchtime I would have that with almond butter on it and apple slices. And then an hour later, I would start to get headaches, and I would feel tired and just not well. And yeah, it's an interesting thing.
So you feel a lot better now. You've moved on to Peloton and biking. You've embraced healthy eating.
Mm-hmm. And then right now, I'm also going to take my bolognese off the high heat and turn it back down. And I put my my water on the boil.
Yep. Mine is on boil. I probably will be bubbling here in about a minute or two. So other than a turkey bolognese, what's another favorite recipe of yours?
Oh, another favorite recipe. There's a good
Well,
type.
we got to start planning 2022 already, right?
I guess, yeah. Another favorite recipe. There's a Thai chicken and vegetable stir fry that I make that I really like. Oh, lasagna.
Oh, lasagna.
But my lasagna is, I make the bolognese first and I let it sit overnight. And then I put that into the lasagna. So that's probably my favorite recipe. I'll make that for parties.
And there's a chickpea pasta, non-gluten-free lasagna noodle.
No, I haven't made lasagna in a while.
Okay.
And I won't. So I'm not gluten. I'm not allergic to gluten. I'm intolerant to it.
Okay.
There's two different things. There's an allergy and there's an intolerance. And I haven't made lasagna in a long time, but yeah, there's two different things: allergy and intolerance. So I'm just intolerant to it. I'm not going to die if I eat it, but if I eat it, I just don't feel that well.
Yeah. All right. It doesn't feel good. So.
And I also I made some hummus today too. So some hummus that I made earlier, and I like to eat this with carrots and gluten-free crackers.
Shannon comments that they do make it gluten-free. You can do a rice-based noodle, a corn-based noodle, a mix of the two, and then there's also the chickpea noodles. So we have somebody in the chat who has experience with gluten-free lasagna. I made a lasagna, I want to say 2 weeks ago for my buddy Kurt, so we exchanged foods. I made him a lasagna and he made a Turkish manti. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And it's kind of like a Turkish meat-based pastry in a yogurt chili sauce. It was very good. And I believe he's going to be on the show at some point in 2022.
Nice. What are some of your favorite recipes?
My favorite recipes? So I'd say like my default go-to for a group is a roast chicken. I like to make it with a verde of lots of different fresh herbs. So you can dip the chicken in that. I think that kind of that's sort of that it's an easy meal to do with a lot of folks. You can feed 4 to 6 people with that. I've done 2 chickens at the same time to feed a larger group. And it's like such a simple dish. And then it has so much complexity when you do all of the components, right? Like getting the chicken just right, getting the verde, carving it, and it's delicious. I love making lasagna too, because lasagna, I've made 5 pounds of food like that. And it's great for leftovers. Lasagna is one of those things that gets better, for a few days after it sits.
Oh yeah. I'm just gonna throw in a half a cup of chicken stock right now just to thin it out.
So one of the things I like about this show also is getting exposed to a different recipe each week. So there's one night each week. I don't have to pick what I'm making. Somebody else chooses it. And for a really fun one, next week, our unicorn chef is making an Asian wedding soup. I didn't look at the ingredients closely enough to know what an Asian wedding soup is, but I have never made an Asian wedding soup that I'm aware of. So next Wednesday, I'm going to be making that, and I have no idea what it is.
That sounds good.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's cool too, because I feel like, especially since the pandemic, it's very easy to get kind of caught in this rut where you're just cooking the same thing over and over again. So it's helpful to have this type of show. So thank you for putting this together, Bryson.
Well, thank you for joining us. It is not me that makes this work. It is all of the different chefs who have shown up and made this work. And again, because you make the recipes. I've done a couple of episodes which I drove, and I have some ideas to do some off Wednesday different ones. Like I did the cicadas a month ago. So I'm looking to do some other where I'll drive it with some off-brand content to mix it up with a little bit of fun things. But no, every Wednesday, and we're booked all the way through April with chefs. It's going to be this. It's going to be a different awesome chef from around the world sharing whatever recipe they want with all of us.
Great. Awesome. So my sauce is just about done. It's on a very low heat, and my I'm just waiting on my water to boil. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna prep my my serving dishes.
Yep, my pasta is boiling and is in. And almost ready. Matt, the cicadas were not bananas. They were insects. You've made a lot of ramen this year. Actually, I'm really curious what kinds of ramen. I have made, I think my favorite is making a pork tonkatsu. I like going to the Asian grocery store, getting chicken necks because you just want the chicken flavor and they're cheap. And then pig's feet. So you get that like rich, silky, like gelatin that like renders out. It's delicious. I see Ian has joined us, only to poke fun at Mike. So that's always a worthwhile endeavor. Good job, sir.
Who's Ian and who's Mike?
Mike Ellis is my sometimes sometimes host. So on episodes I can't make, Mike will take charge. Mike also is most famous for helping find more of the comedic element of this cooking show by not just producing excellent food, but setting fire to his house at the same time.
Oh, so, nice. Okay.
You know, it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Like some of us produce good food, some of us try to, and it's funny to watch and like you can't look away. So Mike Ellis is permanently, indelibly etched in unicorn chef fame for his flame up.
Good.
Ian answered your question by saying nobody's.
Oh.
Matt Cup Noodle, I don't believe you. So for those of you who don't know Matt Toussaint, he is an incredible cook and an awesome pillar of the cybersecurity community. And more importantly, the guy can actually cook. Watch that episode. Like that gumbo was so awesome.
So Bryson, what's your thought on so what type of pasta are you cooking?
I have pappardelle.
Okay.
So it's bronze die cut, imported from Italy.
Oh, nice.
So where were you going with the pasta that I'm making?
Spaghetti, and I'd like to have anybody else's opinion on this too. I was always taught to break my spaghetti in half so that it cooks through. Does anybody else have a different opinion on that?
So my experience with that is you break the spaghetti in half just because it's easier to fit in the pot and to boil it. Other than that, it doesn't matter. But let's see what the group says.
Or you could do, if you're trying to do a Lady in the Tramp style thing. I try to do that with the doc sometimes.
Yeah, you can't do it if it's this short. Size does matter. I'm sorry. On that one.
Water is boiling right now, so I'm gonna put the pasta in the water.
All right, my pasta is ready, so I'm throwing it in, and then I'm going to cover it so it stays fresh.
And I got these gluten-free packages at 8 ounces and not 10.
So we got Adrian backing up what I said. He doesn't break it. It's the same kind of thing. It's really just to fit it in the pot.
just to fit it, in the pot.
Certain pastas, you actually want a larger pot because you need the space for the noodles to not like clump and stick to each other. So that's not going to be as big a deal with spaghetti because the surface area is smaller, but your thicker noodles, you really want a larger pot to give them lots of room. That's why you'll see the recipes. Sometimes they'll be like 6 quarts of water and you're like, are they like doing a deep dive in the swimming pool? It's just because you want enough space for the noodles that are that thick to have some.
Okay. That's good to know.
Karen says, break it in half when I want to get everything done evenly and quickly. That makes sense. Wonder if non-wheat pasta cooks different. So, Meryl, it's chickpea pasta. Does it have like a different timing?
It tends to be a little bit shorter.
It's quicker.
It's quicker. But not. It is by about it's usually by a couple of minutes. I mean, I haven't cooked this before. It says 8 to 10 minutes, which if I was dealing with like a regular spaghetti, I would say like 10 to 12. But I like my pasta al dente. I don't like it overcooked. And this is going to be another really weird thing. It's the way that I test my pasta is it's not quite ready yet. And it's something that my mum taught me, and she'd be so proud for me saying this on this show. But the way that she taught me how to test the readiness and goodness of pasta is by taking like a couple of them. It's not going to be done yet, but by taking 1 or 2 of them and just putting it over the tap and just tasting it. It's not going to be done yet. I can tell by the feel of it. It's not done.
Mine is, and it's delicious.
Good. And that's pasta.
So, chickpea pasta cooks faster, and when it's al dente, doesn't it have kind of like a weird texture or something?
No.
I've never had it, so I'm curious. Like, so when you bite it, it's not like you like taste chickpea?
No, not at all. No. No.
What's the consistency of the noodles?
With the spaghetti is, I haven't had the chickpea one before, but I've had cauliflower. The spaghetti to me tastes fine, but things like
hold on, there is
tastes a little bit
cauliflower noodles.
Cauliflower spaghetti, yeah, and they're really good. Yeah,
you can make this with cauliflower. This is made with cauliflower.
This isn't. This is different. This is made from chickpeas.
No, I know that's made from chickpeas. I just had no idea you could. I don't understand how you get cauliflower to like bind because it's such a like water heavy plant.
I don't know.
Fascinating. So there are cauliflower noodles. Have you done the spaghetti squash, like keto style healthy noodles?
I haven't, because I don't like the. This tastes more like pasta. You know, like if I'm making a bolognese, I want something that tastes like pasta.
Yeah, no, I don't think spaghetti squash tastes like pasta at all. I think we have an upcoming chef who's doing the spaghetti pasta noodle thing.
Yeah.
I'm debating whether or not I'm going to do real noodles or spaghetti pasta.
I like to do that on the side of something, like as a vegetable.
Okay.
I would probably make that on the side with like olive oil and just like keep it simple with like black pepper and sea salt, and serve it with some kind of meat.
Adrian, I don't know how science is the answer to this. You're going to have to explain that one. Karen suggests that she thinks that the cauliflower works because you dehydrate and powder it. I guess if you break anything down and then add a binding agent, sure, you can make noodles out of anything. Actually, funny story, 20 years ago, when I was a second lieutenant, it was me and my buddy Steve that lived together, and I did all the cooking. And I reached a breaking point one day because I was always doing the cooking and he didn't cook and he didn't really clean very well either. So it wasn't even like a 50-50 relationship. And I was like, Steve, you know what? I'm pretty sure I could find a way to serve you anything. And I felt my oats at that moment. I was like, I could make you cardboard and you would eat it. And he rose to the bait and he said, oh yeah, how would you do it? And I proceeded to come up with a recipe off the top of my head on how I would make cardboard noodles with a bolognese, and I was confident I could get him to eat it, and he wouldn't notice.
And so what happened?
Well, he backed down, so I didn't have to make it. Funny
No
story.
noodles?
I was his best man at his wedding, and I told that story.
And again, I'm making this because I have a gluten intolerance, but the preference would be to make this with regular pasta.
Okay. So how many more minutes do your noodles need?
About 2.
2 minutes. All right.
And it also depends on whether you're using fresh pasta or pasta that is dried. So I'm using dried pasta.
Do they make bean pasta that's fresh?
No, I don't believe so. They might.
Oh, okay. I really like fresh pasta whenever I make ramen or the Asian dishes, because you can always find fresh Asian pasta like anywhere. I haven't really had that same luck with Italian pasta.
There's a lot of fresh Italian. There's a lot of fresh Italian pasta that you can get. But when you say Italian pasta, define what you mean by that.
Well, like Italian pasta, pappardelle, tagliatelle, spaghetti, linguine.
And so is yours fresh, I'm assuming?
No, mine is no. It's made in Italy and then sent here dried.
Mm-hmm.
The only fresh Italian pasta I've ever seen in a grocery store is like I think it's called buottone, and it comes in like the plastic package in a refrigerator aisle, and it's usually like $4 or $5, and it's like factory made. Haven't tried it. Just that's the only Italian pasta I've seen in a grocery store that looks fresh.
Okay, this is done now.
Okay, we're ready to plate.
So what I like to do as well is I'm just straining this out in a colander. I like to put olive oil in my pasta.
What do you put in your pasta?
Olive oil.
And
a tiny pinch of salt and pepper. It helps to prevent the pasta from sticking to each other. I'm just going to mix this around, and then I have my Parmesan cheese in the fridge. I was too lazy to buy a block of cheese and grate it, but this is what I'm using. So I'm actually using a mixture of 3 different cheeses. Fresh cheese.
oh yes, that looks delicious. Yes. Yum. Delicioso.
Yum, yum. And so, yeah, just going to put my pasta on the plate and spoon over some of my sauce.
All right, I'm gonna get our screenshot ready to take a picture of it.
Hold on 1 second.
Yep, no problem. Just getting ready.
Yep.
All right. Okay, get in frame.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, yours looks really good too.
Of course it does. I'm the chef.
You got to get your face in.
Oh,
To your, there you go. Ready?
hold on. Wait.
All right.
Okay.
Nope. Okay, hold on. Let me set that up again. Okay, ready? All right. I cannot wait to dig into this. Remember, those of you at home, hashtag Unicorn Chef, share what you're making. Tonight's charity is your local food kitchen. Give back to the community. Of course, we like to do that through food. And any final thoughts, Meryl, on this delicious turkey/ground beef bolognese?
I would say enjoy it and maybe serve it with, like a red wine. It goes best with a red wine, maybe a Cabernet Sauvignon. I think that's it.
All right. See you all next week.